One back.
Works like magic.
Bleaching action whitens teeth like no toothpaste. Plus White's Whitener Gel bleaches away stains to whiten teeth. Plus White 5-minute Whitener Gel.
Storm Week starts tomorrow night at 8 on the Weather Channel. And now, here's your local on the 8s. Currently, the temperature is 31 degrees under cloudy skies. Forecast for your area. Your extended forecast.
Good evening from New York City, where the snow has changed to freezing rain and sleet. A nasty early spring day. I'm Mike Seidel. We'll wrap it up here coming up in just a few minutes.
It was rain, not snow, that had you singing the blues today in New Orleans. The Big Easy has been peppered with storms and heavy downpours. But will any of those storms become severe as we move into the overnight hours?
Now, a second storm coming on the heels of our spring storm will keep the weather unsettled across most of the east tomorrow. Folks in Milwaukee and other parts of the southern Great Lakes will see some flakes of snow in the air, while the west will be the best.
The Weather Channel Evening Edition continues.
Hello and welcome to the Weather Channel Evening Edition. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Monday night. I'm Cheryl Lemke in for Jennifer Lopez.
And I'm Paul Goodlow. Jim Cantori is off tonight. Well, I think it's safe to say that we're in spring, well into April, and people are pretty sick and tired of winter weather. That's right, a spring storm is laying down a fresh blanket of white from the plains all the way to the East Coast. Sioux Falls, South Dakota is just one city that got hammered. Now, not only did you just get lots of snow, but strong winds are blowing it all around. Snowfall amounts range from 5 to 10 inches across parts of South Dakota. Now, that sure isn't very spring-like now, is it? Unfortunately, warmer weather is on the horizon.
It's probably going to take folks a while to dig their cars out of the snow in parts of southern Minnesota. Here in Faribault County, anywhere from 10 to 12 inches of snow was reported. Winds have been gusty here too, blowing at 25 to about 30 miles an hour. A number of schools canceled classes for today, but folks who had to work didn't have that luxury. They had to brave some very slippery roads.
And this latest batch of snow, ice, and sleet has many people at their wits' end, and travel by air or by ground continues to be difficult.
Now, already we've had scores of cancellations and delays. New York's LaGuardia and Newark airports scrubbed more than 200 flights combined.
And joining us now live from New York City is our own meteorologist, Mike Seidel. And Mike, another day of snowfall, sizable snowfall in New York City. What about the school kids? Were they in class today? Were they another extra snow day they have to make up later in the year? What's going on?
Kids here in the city had school today. Some of the suburban schools did close before the snow started. as well as the Yankees baseball game was canceled yesterday. And even when I got on the air this morning around 6, they had already canceled over 125 flights at Newark, so everybody was ahead of this one because it was well forecasted, and we totaled up with 5 to 8 inches of snow. Let me show you what it looked like at the height of the storm. Mid-afternoon, it was snowing and blowing. You know, for February, this would have been a darn good storm, but for April, this was just amazing. I'm walking up the Upper West Side, Central Park West, into a 30-mile-an-hour wind and blowing snow, stinging me. It felt like atmospheric dermabrasion. And I'm thinking, this is April in New York? Unbelievable. Well, actually, most people, as you can well imagine, after this long, snowy winter, were not happy about what fell today.
I'm an outdoor salesman all year round. This is amazing. I'm just, you know, it's April, and you would never think we see the spring tulips coming up, and here we have snow. Unbelievable. It's just, you know, I'm used to it because I'm outside all year round. But this is just a real out of the blue.
Take a look at the snowfall totals around the metro area, the tri-state area. Cranford, New Jersey, west of Elizabeth by a few miles, 8 inches. Over in the Bronx, where they tried to play baseball today, 7.3. Staten Island, 6.2. And LaGuardia and Kennedy, both about 5 to 5.5 inches of snow. By the way, the last big snowstorm was back on April 6th of 1982. That one also snowed out the Yankees home opener, over 9 inches that day. And I bet our winter weather expert, Paul Cosin, remembers that one, even as a Mets fan. Right, Paul?
Even as a Mets fan. As a matter of fact, I was at Shea Stadium back on April 6th, 1971, when I was just a kid. And that game was unfortunately not snowed out, but it was really cold because it was raining, sleeting, and then snowing. So opening day in New York can be some trouble. It's not going to be trouble later in the week because, well, it is going to be trouble later in the week because it's going to rain and be cold. So that's going to be a problem. Let's take a look at the problems. Still for New York tonight, not that much. Just some rain, sleet, and snow. Temperature slightly above freezing. Most of the snow as the storm system is winding down into New England. Only an inch or two probably in Boston. The storm has really missed them as it's weakening overnight, and some leftover snows in the Northeast. Here we can see just scattered snows. None of it's really moderate or heavy. Most of it just light, but it will continue overnight. What we're going to see is our one storm beginning to weaken, that comma-shaped cloud now beginning to diminish, but there's still a tremendous trough over the eastern half of the United States. So a second storm system will be developing across the southeast tomorrow, and then a third storm system will come up along the east coast on Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm just the bearer of bad news. High pressure will continue to affect the weather across the east. This is forecast simulation starting tonight. Here goes our storm off to the east, but then by tomorrow night, all the green represents another storm system with some mixed precipitation in the interior of the Northeast. And then as we go from Tuesday through Wednesday and Thursday, yet another storm system comes up the coast. This one will be mostly rain with the exception of along the mountains of the Carolinas and Virginia and West Virginia. That's where we could see some late season snows yet again, Paul and Cheryl.
All right, thanks a lot, Paul. Again, that was Paul Cosin, our winter weather expert. We'll be checking back with him at the top of the hour.
Well, many of us hopefully sprung forward this past weekend, but as we've been talking about, you'd never know it by looking at the weather.
Meteorologist Christina Abernathy has more on this April snowstorm.
We've all heard the saying, April showers bring May flowers, but nobody said anything about snow.
This is amazing.
And now the Northeast and New England.
It kind of makes me feel a little gloomy.
Numerous accidents are being blamed on the storm, including this one in the Milwaukee area involving 12 cars.
The snow is not good. I hate the snow. I hate the ice.
In fact, many of the same areas seeing snow now saw ice and freezing rain just last week, both due to cold air that came from Canada and just hasn't left.
I can't wait till the summer comes. I'm getting tired of the snow.
It has been a very snowy winter and now spring in the Midwest and Northeast. And summer?
It's just around the corner, hopefully. It doesn't seem like it today, but hopefully.
Hopefully, but the East Coast is in for more cold, rainy, and perhaps snowy weather in the coming weeks. For the Weather Channel, I'm Christina Abernathy.
And Paul, it really has been rough for a lot of folks. Right when the tulips and the daffodils are trying to come up, now we've got the snow to talk about. And some school kids are probably thinking, oh great, another snow day, hoo-hoo, but you got to make that up at the end of the year. That's right. You got to take the good with the bad. Well, stay with us. Tomorrow's forecast is straight ahead. But first, we'll give you the forecast for New York City. The snow will taper off tomorrow. Not a lot of sunshine, perhaps a few peaks in the evening. Temperatures slowly warming up to the mid to upper 30s. But we do have more wet weather ahead as we head throughout the rest of this week.
stay tuned. We'll have the, again, forecast tomorrow coming up. But first, coming up in a few seconds, we'll have your local on the 8s.
Could be dead.
We still have a winter weather advisory across the region. I'll explain why coming up.
And the spring storm has frustrated Allentown residents. I'll have that coming up in a live report.
A children's hearing center is forced to shut down after money is stolen. A former employee is charged with the crime. The 10 o'clock news starts now.
And we begin with breaking news on Operation Iraqi Freedom. Fox News is quoting high-level U.S. sources saying Saddam Hussein and his two sons, Qusay and Uday, were targeted in a big attack today and could be dead. Joyce Evans is live in the newsroom with more. Joyce?
Dave, the information is still coming in tonight, but Fox News sources do report that coalition forces attacked an Iraqi leadership compound and that Saddam Hussein and his two sons were killed. Now, military sources will say only that it was a target of opportunity after getting some tips and eavesdropping, leading them to a compound, a house where Saddam and his sons were believed to have been inside. Now, they were not seen coming out of the home, at least not standing, but there is not yet any official confirmation that Saddam Hussein and his sons are dead. And of course, we will keep you updated throughout the newscast if we get more word, particularly if we get information, confirmation out of Washington or from Central Command. I'm Joyce Evans in the newsroom. Back to you.
Also today, British forces slammed through the doors of Saddam Hussein's palace in Basra. Hundreds of troops raced through the heart of the city to secure Saddam's luxurious palace as tanks rolled in to provide ground cover. We'll have more on Operation Iraqi Freedom in just a minute. But first, Rob Garino with the latest on our April snowstorm. Hey, Rob.
Yeah, and our April snowstorm continues tonight for some areas. We do still have a winter weather advisory. We'll show you where those advisories are posted tonight. Basically north and west of Philadelphia. That's from Trenton over to Quakertown, Pottstown, down to Coatesville, Reading, Allentown, and up in Flemington in New Jersey. The reason why is, look at the precip, the pink here indicating freezing rain. And actually, if you drew a line right like this is 32 or lower in this region. And we still have some spotty freezing drizzle going on with temperatures at freezing or below tonight. Now, the big picture shows another storm down to our south headed our way. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. That's first weather on Fox.
Thank you, Rob. And as Rob said, the Lehigh Valley was hit the hardest. Our Sharon Crowley is in Allentown right now. Sharon?
Well, Dawn, it is a cold and windy night out here, and the road seems to have iced over a little bit here in the Allentown area. I can tell you this is the 18th storm of the winter season, and Allentown residents tell me today they are sick of these spring storms.
Triggered March, but not April.
Where I work, it was 3 inches at noon, so I don't know, it might be 2 or 3 here. I couldn't believe we were going to get this much at this time of the year.
2 weeks into spring, forget lawnmowers, Allentown is filled with the sound of snow blowers.
I couldn't believe it. My eyes, that we were getting snow. I mean, 21 years ago, they said we had a bad one.
Lehigh Valley residents are digging out from a couple of inches after a record winter filled with snowstorms. They thought surely by spring they'd get a break.
I ain't happy about it, but what are you going to do? Put up with it. Like anything else, you keep up with it.
At its worst, snow caused traffic tie-ups here on the northeast extension near Quakertown, and it made driving dangerous. Drivers of parked cars, though, didn't fare much better. Dale Cooper volunteered to clear the church steps for Sunday.
Everybody needs a helping hand sometimes. So that's what makes me do it.
Under the light layer of snow here, you'll find some sure signs of spring. People are hopeful that this is winter's last call.
Well, back here live in Allentown, there's not any snow or rain coming down anymore, but it has iced over quite a bit in the last couple of hours. Residents here got about 5 or 6 inches. They're hoping it's the last snow of this spring. Reporting live from Allentown, Sharon Crowley, Fox News.
And today's springtime snowstorm took some people in New Jersey by surprise. This is what it looked like in Lawrenceville this morning. People had to get back in the habit of driving on slippery roads. And in Pensacola, some blooming flowers were covered with snow. Now, it wasn't much better in Center City. People hurried to get indoors. At times, the snow made it hard to see in the city, but it didn't stop flights from taking off at Philadelphia International. There weren't any delays or cancellations.
4 to 6 inches of snow fell across Bucks County. Our Dave Schratweiser continues our coverage.
The day started tragically in Buckingham Township on a snow-covered Durham road. As this car approached a curve, it collided with a truck. Firefighters used the jaws of life to reach the victims, but 2 people died in the crash. Another was critically injured. Across Bucks County, plows cleared away 3 to 6 inches of snow. A heavy, wet snow fell